Influential Japanese authors. Kenthison. Akiko Yosano, 1878–1942. Some of their works. River of Stars. Thou Shalt Not Die, Kimi Shinatama Outone Eka. This Autumn Will End. Black Hair. Yosano was a writer of tanka poems, an ancient style of poetry typically translated into 5 lines in English. In 1901, Yosano brought out her first volume of tanka, Tangled Hair, which contained 400 poems and was mostly denounced by literary critics. Yosano's poem Thou Shalt Not Die, addressed to her younger brother, was published in Majo during the height of the Russo-Japanese War and was extremely controversial. The poem was made into a song. It was used as a form of anti-war protest, as the number of Japanese casualties from the bloody siege of Port Arthur became public. In her poems she displayed an affinity for expressing femininity in a manner that was not conventional for her time, especially from the work of a female writer. She depicted women to be lively, free, sexual and assertive, nothing at all like the conventional picture. Akutagawa Ryunosuke, 1892–1927. Some of their works. Rashomon. The Story of a Head That Fell Off, Kabaiga Ochita Hanashi. Literary, or too literary, Bunyetkina, Amarini Bunyetkina. A note to a certain old friend, Erukyuu Iogaru Shaki. The Spider's Thread, Kumo no Ito. In a Grove, Yabuno Naka. Akutagawa wrote over 150 short stories during his brief life. He is regarded as the father of the Japanese short story, and Japan's premier literary award, the Akutagawa Prize, is named after him. He was named Ryunosuke, son of dragon, because he was born in the year of the dragon, in the month of the dragon, on the day of the dragon, and at the hour of the dragon. His mother went insane shortly after his birth, so he was adopted and raised by his maternal uncle, Akutagawa Dosho. He was interested in classical Chinese literature from an early age, as well as the works of Maori Ogai and Natsume Soseki. Towards the end of his life, Akutagawa began suffering from visual hallucinations and nervousness over fear that he had inherited his mother's mental disorder. In 1927, he tried to take his own life with a friend of his wife, but the attempt failed. He finally committed suicide by taking an overdose of veronal at age 35. Edogawa Ranpo, 1894–1965. Some of their works. 2 Crippled Men, Enai Hajian. Terror in the Triangle Hall, Sankaku Kan no Kyofu. The Case of the Murder on D Hill, Didizuka no Satsurjin Jikan. The Black Lizard, Kuro Tokage. The Caterpillar. His pen name, Edogawa Ranpo, is a tribute to the father of the mystery genre, Edgar Allan Poe, and Ranpo himself is known as the grandfather of Japanese mystery. 2 years after the Marco Polo Bridge incident and the outbreak of the Second Sino-Japanese War, Edogawa was ordered by government censors to drop his story, The Caterpillar. The Caterpillar is about a veteran who was turned into a quadriplegic and so disfigured by war that he was a human caterpillar, unable to talk, move, or live by himself. Censors banned this story, apparently believing that the story would detract from the current war effort. The Edogawa Ranpo Award is a Japanese literary award which has been presented every year by the mystery writers of Japan since 1955. Edogawa dedicated a great deal of energy to promoting mystery fiction, both in the understanding of its history and encouraging the production of new mystery fiction. Another of his interests was bringing attention to the work of his friend Junichi Iwata, an anthropologist who had spent many years researching the history of homosexuality in Japan. During the 1930s, Edogawa and Iwata had engaged in a competition to see who could find the most books about erotic desire between men. Iwata died in 1945, with only part of his work published, so Edogawa worked to have the remaining work on queer historiography published. Nakahara Chuya, 1907–1937. Some of their works: Sheep Song, Soiled Sorrow, A Bone, Never to Return. A literary award, the Nakahara Chuya Prize, was established in 1996 in Chuya's memory. The award is presented annually to an outstanding collection of contemporary poetry characterized by a fresh sensibility. Chuya adapted the traditional counts of 5 and 7 used in haiku and tanka, but frequently tripped these counts with variations in order to obtain a rhythmical, musical effect. Several of his poems were used as lyrics in songs, so this musical effect may have been carefully calculated from the start. Chuya was not counted among the mainstream of poets, but his verses have a wide and increasing following even to this day. Chuya is now a subject of classroom study in Japanese schools, and his portrait in a hat with a vacant stare is well known. Osamu Dazai, 1909–1948. Some of their works: The Setting Sun, Sheo, No Longer Human, Ningen Shikaku, A Farewell with Regret, Skabetsu, Pandora's Box, Pandora no Heiko, a standard bearer of the 20th century, Naijaseki Kishu. Japan entered the Pacific War in December, but Dazai was excused from the draft because he was diagnosed with tuberculosis. In the immediate post-war period, Dazai reached the height of his popularity. His best-known work is The Setting Sun. Dazai tried multiple times to kill himself. Beginning in 1929, at the age of 20, he attempted suicide from an overdose of the drug carmodine. It is widely thought that he was influenced by the suicide of his writing idol, Akutagawa Ryunosuke, who killed himself from an overdose in 1927. In 1930, Dazai again overdosed on carmodine, this time with a woman. He survived, but she did not. He attempted to hang himself, and a year after that, having survived an addiction to morphine, he and his first wife attempted double suicide via sleeping pill overdose. This attempt also failed, and after surviving tuberculosis and alcoholism, he finally succeeded in killing himself in 1948. He and Tommy Yamazaki committed double suicide by drowning themselves in the Tamagawa Canal. Their bodies were not discovered until June the 19th, which coincided with his 39th birthday. His last work, Goodbye, Middle. Goodbye, was left unfinished.